line thing on my camera?
I don't.
Your camera looks fantastic, Kevin.
Okay.
As
do
do you, Kevin. Kevin, you look amazing. I mean, if I were gay, and I'm not gonna.
So this is how this episode is starting.
All right.
It's a scoop
Boy.
episode, basically.
Boys and girls, it is so good to be back. Turin Giants podcast number, what is it? I googled
307.
it. 307. We're back. This is a reminder that we still exist. I'm Farhad. I'm the host that loves you most. I'm joined here by Frederick, Kevin, and Zach. What's up, boys?
So going, dude, long time.
Long time,
Gotta
isn't it? Long time. Indeed.
Dust the or remove the cobwebs or get rid of the rust or whatever the phrase is here.
I literally had a cobweb next to the camera a few minutes ago, so you're not wrong. Literally. Well, we are also live on YouTube. You can catch this episode on Spotify and Apple and all the good streaming services. Like I said, I'm gonna try. Me personally, I will try to remember how we do this thing here. So please don't judge us. I know people were clamoring for the return of the Turin Giants podcast, and here we are. We have, of course, the majority of the podcast will be transfer news. We got the Scoop Boys here, the big, beautiful ball bastards. Zach and Zach and Frederick will fill us in on what's going on and the latest on transfer. I'm not centered. All right, here we go. I got a new ring light. Can you guys see the new lights are spectacular?
It works wonders.
Yeah, thank you. We're all tanned. And actually, before we go into the Juve part of the episode, I would like to hear you guys, how your summer have been so far, has been.
Hot. Very, very hot here in this south of America. Houston is not known for being mild, and it has been not mild with a vengeance. So, yeah.
Representing the H-Town, Zach. Yeah, no, I can't imagine being there right now. It's actually kind of cool today in Chicago. Very nice with the wind, and we went to do a little training with my son on the soccer pitch. So it was a beautiful weather. But we get the Canadian wildfires. Everything is basically. So we trained for about an hour, and then I search on the weather app to see the air quality, like what's going on. It's unhealthy. Kids and older people stay away, and we just did like like a lot of drills on the pitch. So good parenting right there. Kevin took a European vacation. I know, not to blow your cover there, but I know you took like what was it, 60 days on the beach?
Oh goodness. No, we were in Italy for about 6-7 weeks. So we took wife and 2 kids, flew over to Turin, just spent some time at our apartment over there. And I do not recommend flying with 2 kids under the age of 2. 0 out of 5 stars. Do not recommend.
Been there, done that, baby. But you have no choice.
They're kind of flight. Yeah. We were fortunate. My mom came with us on the way there, and my wife's parents were with us on the way back. So that definitely helped. But yeah, it was good spending time in Turin. Hot as shit in June.
How hot does it get in Turin?
It's I mean, in the peak of summer, it's especially recently these last couple of years, like 35 degrees Celsius. I mean, we're pushing like 95, 97 Fahrenheit. Approaches 40 a couple times as well. I mean, it gets really hot up there because where it's situated, like kind of trapped in the Langhe Valley, south of the Alps. Like the air just like comes up from the south and just gets trapped there. And there's not a whole lot of wind either, so it gets pretty stagnant and humid.
You know what's funny? When I lived in LA, we lived in San Fernando Valley, and it's literally a bowl that keeps the heat inside. So if you're talking about anything in the San Fernando Valley, if anyone's familiar, it's literally like 10 degrees hotter there than, by the ocean or whatever. We are live on YouTube. Massimo, thank you, my friend. He says, sweet setup, Farhad. I literally just changed the light. So I'm going to do a couple of changes here as well, besides the lights. So we're going into season number 14 strong. I'm really excited about it. We've been talking about changes and additions to just doing everything. Every year, I do this podcast, and now with a strong crew behind me, we try to do something different. So you best believe there will be a difference between last season and this season. Anybody else want to share? I know Frederick, did you see the I know you went to a beachside community as well, and I loved that at the same time when you were there, the trend came up when the bald guys at the beach, they would roll their head, and it literally looked like there's just blonde mop on top of your head. Did you do that? You should have, man. Come on.
It would be cool for me to say that I didn't, but I actually did. But it went completely horribly wrong because it was like not a soft sand beach thingy, like it was rocks and pieces of basically dirt and sand and grime. And let's just say the best decisions you make are not based on alcohol consumption. And I think that's the tagline for my whole vacation.
My boy went hard.
He was going hard for what like a week and a half.
Yeah, it was all out. It was all out. I went all out, but it was fun. I had some time off, and it was nice. So I can't complain really. I had a marvelous time with my family and some time off. So awesome. Feel energized for the new season, or at least giving my point of view about it. So
love it. But at least you had dental surgery like 2 hours ago, right?
I did.
He's sacrificing his body for the podcast.
He doesn't feel a thing right now, Farhad. He's not sacrificed right now. He's feeling great.
I'm on painkillers and muscle relief medication.
Oh my goodness!
I'm in an amazing mood right now. So if there's anything,
might as well crack a bottle of wine, my friend.
Oh God!
I'm sure that goes well together.
Now that you mention it,
fantastic. Well, to be honest, the preseason episode that we're gonna do, let me actually plug that in. Of course, my phone is all sorts of. So August 22nd will be our big preseason prediction / looking into the looking forward to the season type of episode. Well said. Ralph should be joining us as well for the next season. He, like I mentioned a few episodes ago, he's a little more free now with his time, so he'll be popping in and out. So hopefully a little more often than before. I am, like I said, super excited about the lineup of the podcast. Super excited about you boys joining us back. Shall we get into it? Oh, intro. Let's see. Here we go. So this is how long it's been. StreamYard, the tool that we use to record this, they completely changed the whole interface. So I'm like scrambling, not knowing what to do. Hear me out. If you listen to this podcast since day one, you knew I used to have a segment stolen from Family Guy. You really know what really grinds my gears. You know what grinds my gears? When any interface online becomes so minimalistic that it's literally impossible to tell what the 3 dots are supposed to represent or what like they're going so minimalistic. It's like impossible because and we've StreamYard has fallen victim to that also. To save a little bit of space, there's literally just cartoons now, and I have to decode them. Am I wrong, Kevin? You deal with tech a lot. I don't know, Zach maybe also. Can we go a little more maximalistic?
using that exact term.
It's rare when people want it more complicated, Farhad. But I guess we'll take note of it and we'll send it on the StreamYard and see what they.
But there is a point where things become too simple, right? And because, yeah, but
Yeah,
That's what
no.
you said.
And
But
I-
Far,
I
you
thought it
sound
was
like
just
an
me or
elderly
something because it
guy
does look different.
rambling like.
I'm old man yelling at clouds for sure. All right, boys. So outline for today, boys and girls. Thank you all for joining. We get, we're getting great comments here. Everybody, welcome. We're going to talk about. Before we get into that, I wanted to ask Zach. You went to Detroit, right?
Yeah.
That was your little vacation. You listened and you visited Detroit. How was it? Should people go?
I'm wearing my my Michigangster shirt.
Let me zoom you in real quick.
There you go.
Michigangster. Okay, I don't know why.
Yeah, this
why
is
now?
this is maybe the oldest T-shirt I own, but we don't have to worry about it, Farhad. Yeah, I went to Michigan. I'm from Michigan, from Metro Detroit area, and so I was actually just visiting my friends. But we can say I went because of Juve's new sponsor, if that helps us in any way, shape.
Put your hands up for Detroit, a lovely city.
Did you love this city? In fact,
I do. It's changed a lot since I last lived there, for the better, and so I think it's absolutely worth a little visit. Detroit has really built itself up, and I think hopefully shed, certainly in my opinion, shed sort of the reputation about 15, 20 years ago that it had, quite negative reputation. And there's a lot to do in and around the city, a lot of really nice towns, just like 15 minutes outside of Detroit as well to visit and to do activities. So I'm clearly biased, but I think Detroit and Metro Detroit is an absolute win.
I love it because it represents old America when 40s and 50s and even beyond that. I love that, spirit of America back in the day, what it was. I do like the architecture. I've never been, but from what I've seen, it represents that golden era of America, and towns that were, even though they were struggling, they would be strong, and Kevin comes from the Midwest as well, and Chicago is like that. There's a lot of reminders of old America. So pretty cool. Visit Detroit if you're able.
And I think we may have mentioned it here when that sponsor was announced. I don't know, however many podcast episodes ago. Like, there are some connections between Torino's history and Detroit as well. I mean,
absolutely.
At the kind of industrial, especially automotive past, right?
Yes.
Sure.
Detroit being the automotive capital of the U.S., or at least it was at one point. And then, of course, with Fiat in Turin as well. So there is an interesting connection there. It's not quite as random as everybody might think, because the Jeep connection certainly comes from that when Fiat bought Chrysler coming out of the economic collapse in 2008. And so there's ties there with Jeep and Visit Detroit. So,
and there's a ton of Jeeps in Turin. When I visited last, I remember seeing Jeep Cherokees.
Surprisingly, a large amount of Jeeps. Yeah.
And that's what's funny, the connection that Maurizio from around Turin has to Detroit and every Michigan sports team.
He's obsessed with Michigan.
I never realized, and then I was like, oh, okay, I can see the connection now. He's a Detroit Lions fan, and
he's got
Detroit
good taste. He's got good taste.
Twice a year, Packers and Lions. He texts me twice a year. More recently than they've been winning. So it's definitely a connection. Detroit is nice. Go visit. Let's talk about the Scoop Boys, who've been holding down the fort last couple of months. 10 episodes of the Scoop. If you're not listening, friend of ours. Zach kind of took reins of it, and we added another show onto our podcast network, if you want to call it. And I really love that. Frederick, before the podcast, he was asking me how I'm liking the Scoop, and I was like, are you kidding me? This is a show we added and people are loving it. There's comments, and you two little, you got your little following going. So I really appreciate you guys. It's you guys can find Scoop where you give a better description, Zach.
Well, I would just say that if you're not watching the Scoop, it's not that you're not a friend of ours. You're just a soon-to-be watcher of the Scoop. Okay, Farhad. We don't close any doors at all. All right.
Hey, I'll close the door, no problem.
It's been absolutely a blast. Frederic and I have had a lot of fun, and what we've basically been doing is leveraging contacts that Frederic has within the Juventus organization, who are tapped into the sort of transfer strategy, as well as various moves and feelers that have come in and out of the club. So we've just been sharing that with all of y'all, and we haven't done an episode this week due to just personal life things that have come up, and there's also not been a lot of activity, but we're going to continue to share that because it's been a blast for us to kind of give you that window and try to take a little bit of a different spin than all the maybe the articles you see online or the posts you see on Twitter. Kind of try to put everything in one place for you to see all of the different names. Where do we stand on all of them, as well as some sort of sub segments that we have, looking at the holistic 11. Analyzing all of our transfers that have come in so far. It's only been the 2 and stuff like that. So we provide a lot of value. We listen a lot to the feedback we get from our listeners, and so we try to make it the best program it's been. Frederic,
awesome.
Anything to add on that?
No, just apart from the fact that I really like doing that because we're in close contact with each other to get the show up and running, which is very nice. And also for me personally, it's the first time since many years that I can talk a bit more freely about the things that are going on behind closed doors, and it's nice to give the people a clear insight on what's happening rather than just fill out the rumor mill and just hawk out names all day long. Like we really do our investigations and we try to bring the info as accurate as possible. And I love the fact that Zach gets his thing like strategically in between that and our personal feelings about certain transfers. So it's an all-round fun thing to do, and I couldn't be happier to do it with anybody but Zach. So kudos to him.
Yeah, you guys are truly a dynamic duo. Speaking of incoming transfers, I want to hear all of you guys, and let's talk about the guys that came in. So Jonathan David, right? Iceman, so far, not much to go on of, but tell me what you guys have been discussing on the Scoop regarding our Canadian. What's the number? 30? Yeah?
30.
So yes, number 30. That's strange. Not a fan of the number, but it's too early to judge. Zach,
personal connection. He said it's like the date of his dad's birthday or something like that.
Okay, 1930, very old dad.
March 0th.
March 0th, 1930. His dad is very old. But yeah, so Zach, tell me exactly. Look at what we have to go off of. But tell me, going in, we're very excited. I'm excited. He's obviously someone that hasn't really proved himself, so this will be his biggest team, obviously, to play for. Seems like a smart guy. Seems like he's got head on his shoulders. I will refer to his interview quotes if we go off and start with Zach. What do you think, tactics wise, and what does he bring to Juve? And I'm sure you've talked about it on the Scoop, but for those who haven't heard, what do you think about the transfer itself?
Yeah, so the Scoop has a segment called the Scoop Reviews, where we rate our incoming transfers on a 1 to 5 ice cream scoop scale, of course. And we gave the signing of Jonathan David 5 out of 5 scoops, breaking it down from a financial point of view as well as what we call ability, but ability is sort of a mixture of his technical and physical ability as well as just various intangibles. From a financial standpoint, as much as he's going to be, or at least currently, our second highest paid player, getting a player on a free, and you say like he hasn't really proven himself, I'm going to disagree with that. While Juventus might be the biggest club he's ever played for, he's got almost 300 senior appearances at 25. ahead of all of the 25-year-olds we have on our team. Okay, he's going to join. He joined our team from a career goals and assists standpoint as the highest goal contributor on our team at 25, more so than even veteran players like Kostic and Milik, way ahead of Dusan Vlahovic, who's the same age and plays the same position. So I think when you look at his production, when you look at the cost getting him on a free, and you look at the way he plays, which I'll touch on a second, I think he's the type of transfer that this version of Juventus needs to make. And I am overjoyed that they were able to secure a player with his skill set, his quality, and his track record. So I'll stop there for a second and pass it to Frederic on more of the tactical stuff.
It was more of a discussion I had today with a fellow Juventino. And I said, well, a lot of people within and around Juventus are clamoring for years, like, we need a player like David Trezeguet back. Well, we have him now, in my opinion. I'm not going to speak about quality or absolute quality, but he has the same features apart from the heading. I think his headers, I think we discussed that also in the scoop. But from characteristic standpoint, being ice cold, putting those shots in, getting the most out of every opportunity that he's given, I think he resembles a lot playing wise to David Trezeguet, because David Trezeguet, half a chance was a goal, and I think Jonathan David embodies that. And I agree wholeheartedly with Zach. Like, he's the transfer up front we needed to make, and I'm very happy that we did. And I have very, very, let me say, high expectations for him. So
to touch on your original question, because I went on my diatribe about ice cream scoops and so forth, but so Jonathan David, correctly, Frederic said, his weakest area is his aerial ability. He doesn't win a lot of aerial duels. He's 2 or 3 or 4 inches shorter than many Serie A strikers at the same position, but he excels in space, whether it's running into the channel or dropping deep into space to help facilitate play. He averages more than roughly double passes completed per game over Kolomwani and Vlahovic. Both of them this past year. He is a proven, well, and as a result, and kind of piggybacking what I said about his goal contribution, he's a proven scorer and goal assister, which is going to help facilitate and bring guys into play like Yildiz, who's also a proven goal scorer. And I think that sort of complete forward aspect of him being able to attack as well as support the build-up play is going to make him invaluable. If we have guys like Chico, certainly Yildiz, and hopefully maybe another player that's going to join the attack that could be brought into play and can support our goal scoring and assisting needs. So there's really very little to be concerned about. I don't want us whipping in crosses all day, which would be the biggest weakness for him. He's fairly two-footed, and after watching Dusan fail to complete passes with his right foot, even it'll be a relief to see a player who can turn both ways, facilitating possession on both sides of the pitch.
So let me give you a couple of quotes here from him. I'm referencing Rav's website, juvenewslive.com. Fantastic website. Please go check it out. So it's just a breakdown of his first days at Juve. He was quoted saying, "It's a great emotion to be at a club like Juve. First week has gone really well. My teammates have helped me a lot. It was important for me to speak with the management, and I also talked with some teammates. There was strong interest from both sides for me to join. Juventus is a great club. Goal targets, I've tried to be consistent in the last few years. I know Serie A is different, more tactical and defensive, but there are challenges for everyone. I see it as possible. I'll have to work hard, so why not?" This is kind of funny to me. This is how old we are, guys. Juventus legends as inspirations. Juve had many legends: Cristiano Ronaldo, Dybala, Del Piero, Trezeguet. People are actually players are quoting Dybala as being their inspiration. So it's kind of funny to me. But childhood idols. When I was little, I looked up to a lot of players. Drogba, Eto'o. I loved how they played. Now they're now there are many other great strikers as well. And here we are, finally. Why shirt number 30? I picked number 30 because it's my dad's birthday. Still baffled by what the actual birthday is, but maybe it's just year 30. I don't know.
No, it's probably the 30th date of one of the months. I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense.
So far, the boy's not too bright. Let me tell you that. Let's just hope he's better at scoring goals. But
Well, I think our frequent guest following us on YouTube, Giorgio, I always mispronounce your name. Sorry, buddy. Indicating he's probably just taking number 9 as soon as Duzan leaves. So
I hope so. I hope so. Those, that's Frederick having a seizure for some reason. But anyways, so that's a little small breakdown. Thank you guys. Breakdown of Jonathan David. Let's move on to my boy. Yes.
One quick comment on this though.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The
Yeah.
comment coming from YouTube from Aziru.
Can you be our YouTube comments guy?
Yeah, sure. So
Awesome.
Aziru is indicating he likes David's humility, and I think that's actually
agree.
something. And I do hope we have Randall Colomwani Day coming up, and I don't know if Freddie, you've got anything to share on that later, but the two of them seem just like heads down, ego checked at the door if they even have one, and just doing the hard work. And you look at the links to like Ozyman, for example, total hothead. Right. And just like the energy and I think the teaming and bringing the locker room together and what Tudor is trying to do, someone like David fits into that well. He's not going to create any disruption, at least from what we can see right now.
If I may, I'm going to interrupt you fairly quick because or else
Please.
it won't fit into, the grander scheme of things later on. But I learned today that we had Osimhen. We literally had him. We had an agreement with Napoli. We had an agreement with Osimhen. And Kamoli said, nope, don't want him.
Oh, wow.
Fuck off.
Truth bomb.
And not really like financially related or anything. Kamoli just said, he's not going to fit. I don't want him in my team.
I respect that.
And
I really
think
do.
2 days after that, he broke that news to the management of Osimhen. He signed for Galatasaray. So
Hold on.
And now, Freddie Scoops with the scoop. He's the best in the business, see? Man.
I think
A
there's
little late, but yes, Zach.
I think there's two components to that. I mean, what Kevin was touched on from a cultural standpoint, Kamoli had said that when he joined, that was really important to him to breed a particular culture in the locker room. We know, or we don't know, but I would not be at all surprised if Tudor was similar in the way he's played and the way he's managed. But we also were promised that we'd be looking for signings where you get more bang for the buck. And we knew that Osimhen was going to be an extremely expensive transfer for an established player. But I think backing out of it shows that Kamoli takes this bang for buck and this cultural aspect seriously. And we are going to talk about, I guess we already started with David, but we're definitely going to talk about that when we talk about the next two transfers as well and how that fits in with his sort of formulaic approach.
Why don't you? That's a perfect segue for you. Next player. If you want to talk about him.
All right, we've got two more. We got Chico and Joao Mario. Which one do you want to tackle first, Farhad?
I know. João Mario will be a little more of a discussion. So let's get Chico out of the way. We know all about our boy. He's my next son. Delict was my son, but I feel like Chico is the next.
So
my next love. I love Chico. I'm sorry. You just can't. The fact that a player wants to play for Juventus and does everything possible, kind of endearing, So let's get Chico out of the way, and then we'll talk about the polarizing figure, as you guys called it in our thread.
So we gave Frederic and I, Chico, 3 out of 5 scoops of ice cream. It's a $32 million purchase, which is pretty hefty, I would say, for this version of Juventus, for a player who has some clear faults. From a strength standpoint, his goal and shot creation is top in our team. The chaos he brings, the dribbling and so forth is not in question. but he also has that sort of head down running like Chiesa had, where he would runs himself into a cul-de-sac. He's not particularly active in the build-up play or found a way to be active in the build-up play. And he has some injury concerns for someone who is, diminutive as he is. So because of those concerns, and as a 22-year-old, it's certainly something that he should be working on and should hopefully, at least some of these things, train out of his game. But as of right now, where he stands, considering the cost he brings, we gave it 3 out of 5 scoops.
Excellent. Jean Mario, Frederick, anything? I know it was a weird transfer, wasn't it?
Sort of. But, in hindsight, if you get past the initial frustration, anger, and rampage, because, when it's all said and done, you're basically switching a promising player with a lot of potential for somebody a bit older.
I want to stop you. You say rampage and all that stuff. I want you to explain what you mean by that, Frederic, because therein lies the polarization.
Well, not for me personally, because I wasn't personally frustrated. I actually think, and even as time progresses, I even am more confident about the fact that we made a good deal, because we have somebody with leadership capabilities. I'm not going to speak about tactical things because that's your thing, but we have somebody with leadership capabilities, and most importantly, with a lot of experience. And we have a player now that has that experience, but also a baggage of technical ability. If it's not a star player, I'll agree with that, but he has that experience, that leadership mentality, and he's somebody you can trust, as a wing back, I think. So
I've heard good things from there. There was a commenter on one of the social media pages. He was really passionate about João Mario, and he was defending him because he was a Porto fan. So there's definitely potential there that I'm really looking forward to exploring. I love when you don't know much about a player and they surprise you and they become a big part of the team. And hopefully, like, we're in this stage of Juve history where many of the players have the potential to show us what they got, basically, and he's one of them, right?
Well, Kevin, what was your reaction to this transfer? It's not an exchange, but kind of exchange.
I think it was just confusion. And in that, I think a lot of people were starting to see the potential in Alberto Costa, and he kind of turned it on and showed some moments of promise. And like, hey, this guy's going to dig in. He's going to show us something special. Didn't buy him for a lot of money, and I think would be a good addition to the team, whether he's starting or not. And then to exchange him for essentially a swap, as you said. Yes, I know we got a little bit of money there, but for a player with less defensive capability, it just the positive side of me thinks that there has to be something in this, right? Is this something that Comoli was? Is this a player that he's been looking at or keeping track of for a while? Or does he notice something that made it worth the effort? Because you look at the squad, we know other things need to be done, yet we're spending time doing this like borderline swap deal in an air. It was just weird, just kind of weird to me. So I'm just curious how it plays out.
When you're looking at transfers, we all as fans want to be excited, right? You want to get the names you recognize of established players or super high potential players. And I think this hit a lot of people strange because there's like, who is this guy? And then you talk to Porto fans, and some Porto fans will go up and tell you he was the worst starter on the worst Porto in years, is what I've seen posted all over social media. Or
good.
And you'll see comments like that. And then as fans of Juventus, you're like, well, where the hell is this transfer or exchange come from? And then you take a step back, and kind of what Frederic was saying is you look at a guy who has 150 senior appearances versus 30 for Alberto Costa. You have a guy who has more European Cup appearances than everybody else his age on our team. I mean, I just kind of was curious. He has more European, like the Champions League, Europa League, Conference League appearances than Kalulu, Vlahovic, Kolomwani, Cambiaso, Weah. I mean,
Combined.
No, not combined. But it's by virtue of playing for Porto, who has been overwhelmingly successful. I mean, he was the right wing pairing 2 years ago with Chico there. He's gotten a lot of appearances. He's gotten a lot of significant appearances in legitimate competitions. And when you say we got him for 12.5 mil, less than what we sold Costa for, this is exactly the type of transfer that, in my mind, is kind of what Comoli's looking for. A guy who has a lot of experience, whose time at coming from the youth ranks to Porto was over. It was time for something new, and he snagged a guy on the cheap. If he comes here and he fails,
we didn't put a lot
none of us are going to be sweated. He was so cheap, but he has all the ability to actually help our team. And going forward, unequivocally, he is a valuable player. It's just whether we can cover defensive frailties, and with a 3-man in the back system that Tudor employs, you have the tactical ability to double team wing players. I mean, we had Costa against Vinicius, and he didn't get destroyed against Real Madrid in the Club World Cup because we adjusted, and we have a player who has 5 times more senior appearances than Alberto Costa coming into that position to be a rotational piece. I think it's a great piece of business.
I think if it's a rotational piece, it becomes interesting, right? Especially if we have plans for another true right wing back on that side, and he can come in and give like a burst of speed and energy in the second half. I think that could be a very interesting piece. And one of the comments here from Ozymandias, which great name there, debatably or arguably the best television episode in history from Breaking Bad there, but indicating that he and Chico will be a great pair next season. And if you're not looking at it from a defensive point of view, I mean, that whole right flank there could be, I don't know, if those are 2 starting people and you're going up against a tactically sound, strong team, that is concerning.
Also,
Sorry,
a little
Frederic,
nuance on the trend. No, it's okay. I just wanted to point out that John Mario has been followed by Comoli for several years now. So that's one thing to keep in mind, because Comoli doesn't do like these, I think this player is nice, let's snag him up. So it's very well thought of. That's one. And 2, during the conversation Comoli had with all the players when he was just appointed, Alberto Costa made it very clear that he demanded a starting position in the team. By which Comoli replied, "That's up to the coach to decide, not you." Things went a bit sideways from there on out. So after his performance in the Club World Cup, where he was a valuable addition for our team, he scored a nice goal, I think. His manager called Comoli to renegotiate his contract and to have a clause in the contract for him to be a starter. I think not even 24 hours after that, Comoli said, "Let's transfer this guy ASAP." So I mean, these are all things that come into play, and you don't judge a transfer just by, or swap deal by just the ins and the outs. There are so many nuances that come into play at that point.
That's a great piece of detail.
You need to take into account as well. I mean, we look at it from a fan point of view. We see João Mario coming in and Alberto Costa leaving. But there's more to just that, and as to why and the timing, because the deal itself was pretty straight done. I mean, Porto asked for the opportunity to talk with Alberto Costa at the end of June, middle of June, end of June, which was denied. But of course, after you fall out with a player and you know that there's a team interested, of course you pick up the phone as a solid manager, and you say, "Hey, I've had some time to talk. Maybe we can talk about this or that, but you have this player that's of interest to us. Can we work something out?" So this is 100% a Kamoli thing. Let's see how it plays out, but let's not, judge a book by its cover or judge too early. Let's see how it plays out. I'm pretty confident as Zach is. So
You
Couple of
trade.
things. Whenever you're done, Zach, I want to add a couple of things.
Okay, you trade potential for ability. I think if you talk about Champions League appearances, or if you say it's a key match against Inter, do you want the guy who has 29 senior caps starting a right wing back, or do you want the guy with 150 caps and 33 or 31 European Cup appearances? I mean, obviously, we've been burned with transfers. We had some exciting ones last year that didn't pan out, right? So we're not getting ahead of ourselves. But I think if you're Juventus, you want to get back to the top. If you want to be able to compete in multiple competitions, you bring in a guy with that who has been there and done that. Not world class, but been there and done that at the professional stage and European stage for years for 12.5 million euro. That's just in my opinion good business.
So during the Club World Cup, I was lucky enough to go to Orlando, and we talked about it on a previous episode. I hung out with our buddy Uncle Beppe a lot, and there's just, I'm not going to mention any names, but there's stuff that goes on behind the scenes that he kind of let me in on. You just never know, because you can be a great player on the pitch, but they're people, they're personalities, and just some of them go just because they're not liked. I know as fans, we are supposed to love all our players and defend them, but he says some of those guys are just not fit for Juve. And if you see someone leaving, it's because they just didn't pass the sniff test. So that's the part about what's going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. Another thing I wanted to mention about Alberto Costa is we sat by the pitch, literally first row. I could throw gum at them. They were so close. Alberto Costa was closer to us, and Tudor, literally every time he stood up, I saw him and I heard him. Of course, didn't understand much in Italian, but he was not happy with that boy. He was getting burned. Whoever plays for Man City that he was supposed to cover, that was happening right in front of us. He did not show his best abilities. I could see Tudor being frustrated. So maybe the World Cup was his nail in the coffin, but hopefully they made the right decision. That's just my 2 cents.
can I throw in a real quick Kamoli anecdote?
And then you'll tell us about the Kamoli interview, right? You mentioned that before. Yes. So let's switch all the way to Kamoli, to our new guy.
I'll start with the anecdote. I'm not going to mention the player. It wouldn't be fair of me to mention the player.
Sure.
But there was a player during training, and Kamoli was walking by. I think he was going to watch the practice or something. And the player just started talking to Kamoli and complaining about, he felt that he had like sunburn or something. So he started rambling about the fact that he had a headache and was nauseous. I don't know, something along those lines. And Kamoli started looking around, and he said, "Oh, excuse me, I thought you were talking to your wife. I'm not your wife." I thought that was hilarious.
I would love to know who that is. You bastard, you know it. You got to tell us after the podcast.
Maybe, just maybe.
Who's getting sunburn? Who comes from like a country that's not really sunny and they're not used to it? I wonder.
Well, maybe a player that just got back from his holiday, I think. I don't know.
That's hilarious. All right, so Kamoli, Frederick, I want you to continue. He gave the interview, and you wanted to mention a couple of notes from there.
Yeah, because he left quite an impression on me, and I think we spoke about this on our
Ooh,
pod.
Frederick's in love.
I am a bit in love, to be honest. Like, I love me some French guys. I'm not gonna lie, but no, French girls. I'm sorry, but no, it was the overall impression that he made that was very astounding to me. I'll give some quick quotes and a synopsis of what he said. He basically said, "Well, Juve has the potential to become a squad that has to win again, we're thinking about returning to our winning ways, and we're not following any deadlines. We just need to win. When I first arrived, I already understood that this was a club with a lot of history, similar to Liverpool, with a lot of professionalism and with a lot of positive points that we still need to expand on. Then he talked about Douglas Luiz. He said Douglas Luiz has shown a lack of respect with regards to his teammate, but most importantly to the club, which comes first before whatever player, whatever manager, or whatever everything else. Everybody has to respect this Juventus jersey. He did apologize, but I don't know if that will suffice. He talked about Weah too, very openly, I must add. He said Weah needs to understand that if you refuse a transfer before getting into details, uh, you you cannot always choose the squad that you'd like if there's not the proper if there isn't the proper offer, and you risk falling out of the team. So that was a clear message to us.
Is it true Douglas Luiz got punished 100,000 euro for missing the training?
No,
No. Okay, I read that
25,
somewhere.
25,000, and that's
Oh,
I
man.
think because
What I could have done with that money.
but that was something what people don't understand, because I read a lot of interesting comments about people. Oh, you need to take away a salary for 6 months, and you need to do this. I mean, there are basic regulations concerning these fines and these things that it's not like Kamoli can say, well, I'm going to take away 3 of your Ferraris. I mean, it doesn't work like that. I mean, there are limits, there are boundaries. We need to respect them. There's a players' union. All these things
Sure.
come into play. So he was
Yeah.
fined the maximum penalty, which was 25,000, I think, a day, and he was a day late or 2 days late. I don't know. So very openly about Weah, and then about Vlahovic, he said, I've spoken a lot with Vlahovic, and we've decided that if the right offers comes in, it's only logical that our roads will separate. We signed David, and at this point, together with Vlahovic, we're not concerned about our striking position. So basically saying we need a good offer for Vlahovic and then he's out. And he also said, well, our sporting director will come into play between September and October. I do not want to rush things. I want to make valid and coincide decisions along with the rest of the management.
Very nice.
That was
Yeah.
basically
What about
So-
Weah? What about Weah? You said Weah. What did you say about Weah?
that Weah needs to understand that he can't refuse everything, and if Weah wants a certain team, then the proper offer needs to come in as well.
So
Weah
the player.
wants Marseille, but Marseille is not ready to fork out what Juve wants, and if that doesn't happen,
Yeah. So right now, players that will be sold for sure. Weah on his way out, right? I read a list. I think you provided a list in our group chat. Do you remember those? I think there was 5 names on there. Dusan, obviously. Weah.
Weah, Nico Gonzalez, then
Douglas Luiz.
Douglas Luiz goes without saying, and maybe, just maybe, Cambiasso. But Cambiasso's not somebody that's been pushed away. But if a right offer comes in, and that's what he also said to Kamoli, he said if City or the type of squad like City, Real Madrid, Barcelona come in with a solid offer, I'm prepared to think about it. If not, I'm glad to stay. It's not
What a
about
shame.
money. I think he wants to, try to compete with the best, if that makes any sense.
Love for him to prove himself here.
Yeah. I want first half of last season Cambiasso back. I mean,
My God.
he was absolutely a joy to watch, and his injury plus maybe some unsettlingness. That's definitely not a word, but you know what I mean. That second half of the season, I think, kind of derailed that progress.
You know the way he
Second in
played.
the physical test. Sorry, he was second in the physical test. By the way,
The way he played the first part of the season will be, I can see in 5 years, 6 years, somebody does a compilation on Instagram or YouTube. Streets won't forget type of deal, Cambiaso 2024, 25. He really did kind of amaze us, right? And then the injury slowed him down. So hopefully, I'm rooting for him to come back.
Well, he has the
strong.
potential to be one of the top, call it, I don't know, 3 players in the Italian national side. If he really, really picks it up, which isn't all that hard these days, given the talent coming out of Italy. But I think that potential's really there, and I hope he's able to demonstrate it.
Awesome. Well, fantastic. Freddie, thank you for that. Couple more things. I think we're pretty much wrapped up soon. We've got 10 minutes to go. I wanted to mention...
Chico, right?
We talked about Chico a little bit. I'm super excited about him as well.
Did I black out?
Yeah. So Kevin, this is Farhad. This is his first time doing this. Okay, hosting this podcast.
He's never done it before.
I said a little bit about Chico, and naturally, then you would go like, "Oh, Kevin, what do you think about Chico?" But Farhad, it's his first time, so we give him a pass. He then just moved on.
No, maybe I blacked out. My bad.
So we can talk about. We didn't actually have any discussion. It was just, hey, I kind of blurted my nonsense, and Farhad was like, "Cool," and then moved on.
I mean, what else do you want me to do? You gave a speech about Chico, and it's more like Chico is kind of like someone we already know.
Yeah.
So for now, it's basically, hey, Chico, prove the fact that, you took a pay cut or whatever he did, and just, prove to us that you are a great player. I'm looking forward to seeing him mature at Juve. Our number 7, number 7s are very interesting when it comes to Juve. So I'm looking forward to it. I may even buy me a jersey with number 7 on the back. But
he did not take a pay cut to come to Juventus.
But there was something like some kind of clear the air for me.
Didn't he forego part of that like the cut from the?
I'll
give it to Frederic.
On paper, on paper. But basically, he made a deal with his management, and his management said, "Okay, we'll waiver a bit of our fee as well, but if you extend your contract." Or if you get a transfer fee from another club in the near future, we want more than, I think they had, if I'm not mistaken, 8 or 9%. And that went up to 18 or 19 now for the contract extension or a new transfer. So he basically didn't, it's not like he's going to be on the streets of Turin begging for some bread or something.
He'll be all right.
We're just splitting hairs. The man's going to get paid more, Farhad.
Yeah,
I guess the point.
Yeah. And I don't know if you guys want me to do a quick runabout about the transfer thingies.
Absolutely. Transfer thingies, of course. Hold on.
Because
it's coming, baby.
I spoke about this in our WhatsApp.
Hold on.
And now, Freddie Scoops with the scoop. He's the best in the business, see?
You guys think there's going to be less sound drops this season? You're mistaken, okay?
God help me.
I always feel a bit violated with that too. I don't know why. It makes me feel like a prostitute, Farhad. I'm a prostitute. We all know it, but there's no need to show everybody on YouTube. But people love it and then demand it. Go ahead. I want to piggyback on something that Kevin said, like the Kolo Muani and Jonathan David link up. This is exactly what Comoli and Tudor have in mind. Juventus have now made today their official offer for Kolo Muani, and that is well, it was negotiated already, and PSG seemed open to it, but it's a loan with an obligation to buy. If we qualify for next year's Champions League, and we would give 10.3 million now for the loan for the season of 25-26, and then an obligation worth 35.3 million euros payable in 2 installments, meaning that if we could spend 10 and a bit this season, and let's say 17 and a half or something along those lines next season, and then 17 and a half the following to secure Kolo Muani. PSG are very open to it, and I think it's a matter of a couple of zeros and dots and commas to be placed on. But Tottenham Hotspur also came into play, PSG was very happy when they came a knocking, but Colomwani has said, no, I want this
Who wants to
Juventus
go
deal to
play
happen.
Tottenham?
Of course. And he basically did the same thing as Chico did and said, no, make it work with Juventus. I only want to play for Juventus.
Kevin, are you saying
Of course,
that because there's an Arsenal fan listening to us?
Well, look, I mean, look,
Coincidence.
look. How many players have we passed off to Tottenham? I mean, half of their team is ex Juve at this point, which is interesting. But Chico wanted only Juventus. By all reports, Colomani only wants Juventus. Jonathan David only wanted Juventus. I think we kind of talked about on the scoop that Juventus's stock is somewhat diminished as for where it's been over the last 20 years right now. We're in a little bit of a slump, and to still have players, prominent players, $100 million players in Colomwani, Canadian transfer fee record players in Jonathan David who want to come play for us is I think this is the type of thing that you hold dear in your heart as a fan, those types of players, and you root for.
Yes, sir.
and I also think that he struck a chord with Komoli there, because Komoli is very amendment on the fact, like, I want players who want to play for this jersey, who honor this jersey, who see the value and the importance of this club and their history. So I think, chemistry wise, that's a good thing. Also, I'm going to go out on a limb. I think if Colomwani Day is approaching, then it should be done tomorrow. I wouldn't be surprised if we officially sign Colomwani tomorrow.
Beautiful.
Can we just we haven't explicitly talked about the elephant in the room. Giorgo has been begging us to. So,
Yes.
So Frederic, Jonathan David signed. Colomwani Day is coming. Komoli very
Knock on wood.
diplomatically, diplomatically, Komoli is like, if the right offer comes for Dusan, which I appreciate more so than Juntili's GTFO sort of stance on players. But break it down for us. In Dusan, it really is a GTFO situation, and we're just begging for teams to come in and throw us a few euros. We'll throw them in a taxi, and then we'll get it done, right? Or are we looking at maybe a year on the bench or something like that?
Komoli's objective, one of his main objectives, is to get out Vlahovic, due to all reasons we previously addressed, and Nico and Douglas Luiz. But Douglas Luiz is, I'll talk about him later. I'll just circle back to Vlahovic. We received an offer official from Milan. They want to give us 10 million, and Benacer, Juve said, fuck you. Or at least Komoli did.
Can you say that with a French accent?
Va t'enculer ton mère. That's French for go fuck your mother. Oh
man.
I'm sorry. I did. Yeah, we're
2 minutes in the sin bin for Frederic. You have to mute.
You're good. You're good. I mean, it's not like. Oh,
He just if you're not on video,
censored himself.
Frederic just left. He's just like, I said my piece. I'm out.
Speaking of GTFO,
as I uttered those words, my internet connection said, "Well,
that's enough out of you."
Punishment from the gods." But I think we'll get, in my personal opinion, is that Vlahovic will join Milan. I think we want maybe Milan to offer a bit more financially, cash-wise, and maybe another player. I think Benacer was botched due to him being Benacer, and there's really no use for him in this team. So I think Juventus are holding out for a bit more. But
I take Chukwueze as a rotational player up top.
Him to compete with Chico.
And just to have a bench player for rotation, injuries, that kind of thing. I think
there are three players that Tudor highlighted as could be an asset for Juventus coming from Milan. I don't know which players, so I think Juventus are holding out for that. But it's very clear that Komoli is not Juntili and doesn't say, "Well, take whatever you want, throw us a few pennies. We're more than happy."
It would have been way too easy just to say yes, take it.
Yeah, this
yeah.
guy means business. Like he's tough. Um, Going back to Yo-Yo, I think you can sleep on both ears tonight. I think Susan days are numbered, and I specifically said that already in like March and April. So I don't think it'll be too long before he leaves. Douglas Luiz, then our good friend Douglas Luiz, has a lot of offers. Um, Everton, Fulham, but the team that's in the lead right now is Nottingham Forest because Nottingham Forest said, "What do you guys want? 45 million? No worries, we'll pay for it."
Oh wow.
So Juve said, "Yes, please." And then Douglas Luiz said, "Not, I don't know, Nottingham Forest, meh, 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 meh." So let's see where it takes us. Everton and Fulham, they want a loan with an option to buy, and Juventus is not happy. They want him to
No.
leave ASAP, and they don't want to lose a lot. So Nottingham in
Nottingham
the lead.
Forest keep trying to want to fish in our pond, huh? But
Let
they're
'em,
not
let
catching
'em.
anything.
They've got their hands on a lot of pies with a bunch of different legal action and all this different things.
And then players find out Nottingham Forest is interested in them. So right now,
There's
just
something romantic. Oh, and another thing, Kostic, our good friend Kostic, who we do not
oh,
like, I think, is close to either Roma or Atalanta.
I can see that. I can see him in Roma.
I actually like Kostic, but he doesn't fit our team. He doesn't fit a Mota team, and he doesn't fit a Tudor team, and he doesn't fit a Jonathan David as a striker team. So I think he's been an absolutely fantastic player over his career, but I think it's time for him to move on because he's not a good fit for us.
So one last question I want to ask you guys: next vital positions that need to be filled at Juve. What's the next big
Center
move that
back.
needs to
I
happen?
don't think there's center back. There's no other answer. I mean,
That's
I
that's
think
the answer.
there's a especially if you're getting rid of Nico and Weah, then I'd say right wing is probably a close second, but center back.
That's not gonna
I
happen, I
want to
think.
hear more about Leone, and it doesn't seem like that's
Oh
going to
my
happen.
God!
No. We are in constant contact with Leone and his
Sweet.
management. The problem is Parma are really pushing for that loan that we leave him a year at Parma,
Give him Rugani.
which we're trying to offload Mirati to get Leone ASAP. Also because Bremer is training with the team again. Yesterday he had some inspections about his injury. Things are proceeding well, but he still has some inflammation, which is not good at this point.
Yeah, so let's talk about it because this is 100% an area of need. We've got on our team only one world-class defender, and that is Bremer, who we do not want to rush back, right? You then have Gatti, who just extended, who I love, but is not world class. You have Kalulu, who's good in possession, but not a great defender and useless in aerial situations. You have Cabal, who's coming back from a long injury, but does not have a lot of experience at the senior level, certainly not Juventus level. You have Kelly, who we've talked about ad nauseum, and you have Ragani, who for the moment is sticking around. I mean, I think you have a lot of rotational pieces, and that's kind of scary to me. I think we absolutely need that left-footed center back to put next to Bremer, Kalulu on the right, and I would be happy with that, with guys like Gatti and Cabal and Lloyd Kelly or Rugani backing them up. And other than Leone, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Federico, we have on the scoop talked about several different center backs that there have been feelers there, but not, but beyond Leone, nothing has really gone particularly advanced on the center back
I
front, and that makes me feel a little insecure.
I asked my contact the same question prior to me sitting in the surgery chair getting my teeth ripped out because I wanted to prepare a bit, and my contact said, "Don't worry." It's in Italian. I don't know the English word, but we're working sotto tracce for center back. And behind closed doors, we're putting in a lot of effort to find possible replacements. And to me, that's a good thing, because once news gets out there that we're following player X, Y, and Z, you get all this media nonsense, manager bullshit. So I think Kamoli's doing a bang up job. He's keeping everything on the down low, and he's investing time and finding a decent center back. So I'm fairly confident that it will happen, whether it be Leone or somebody else, or maybe Leone with somebody else. I do not know at this point, but rest assured they're working on it. Um, and then the other elephant in the room, which I feel needs addressing, is Sancho, because we saw some contradictory tweets and stuff like
Mhm.
that. Sancho is a done deal. Everything is agreed between Juventus and Sancho and Manchester United. All we need is for Nico Gonzalez, and we had to move. And Komoli said, "That's my only."
And or
That's a, I think, but
because Nico
I
makes sense. That's the same spot. But Weah right now would compete with Mario at right wing back, which and I'd be okay with him staying.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a competition there for spots.
I think it's a salary thing. Like, we know that both of them are probably going to leave, but is it worth like investing the amount of money we free up salary wise into just one player, or do other players come into the mix? I mean, if we could sign a center back that is fairly expensive but is fairly world class, then I think Kamoli would choose to opt for that center back. If that doesn't happen and we need to get a loan, or we get Leone with advantageous terms, then we can spend on Sancho. So it's all a bit intertwined. It's all, going in a kind of a flowing motion. But I think the intent is clear. We want quality, we want experience, but we also want a mixture of young potential players that can handle the pressure and are willing to honor our jersey. And that's something that, makes me feel very optimistic with regards to what we saw last season.
I think out of all of us, Frederick was hurt by last season the most.
The amount of cigarettes.
I just imagine there's just a mountain of cigarette butts under him.
My wife wanted to visit the Alps, and I said it was the first time in my life, because I hate mountains, and I said I'm feeling that too, because I want to search the ball that Coop did up there. Like, I don't know which game it was, but I'm in desperate need of finding that ball. But I have nightmares about last season.
We're gonna lose Frederick if Juve doesn't at least finish in the top two. So we don't want to do that. Excellent work, boys. Thank you so much. Any last thing we can add, or we can just GTFO like Susan, like Dusan. No. Oh my God, I called him Susan. So Nico Gonzalez is on the GTFO list as well. That's what I suggest you guys add that to your scoop, because GTFO list is clear and concise.
We're way classier than that far. We measure ice cream scoops. We don't do GTFO.
I love it.
Well,
boys,
I think that's just to finish up the plug, the scoop. We whether it be Instagram Reels at Turin Giants, or whether it be independent episodes at YouTube at Turin Giants Official. If you like some of these behind the scenes transfer sort of context, transfer news and the like, give us a follow and subscribe so that you can tune in.
What's the Instagram page?
Well, you have Turin Giants, but if you want to reach directly out to us, we have the Scoop Juve or Zach Talks Calcio. And Frederic and I love hearing from y'all, getting your feedback, getting your comments, thoughts, and opinions, and we incorporate them into the show and how we go about doing the show. So stay tuned to the Scoop episodes at Turin Giants.
Excellent. By the way, if you guys haven't seen Alessandro Belpiero, I know we have new listeners. Alessandro Belpiero, he kind of runs the show. He's above me and above everyone else. So it was good to come back. Sorry, we were a little rusty, but lots to talk about the transfers. And I wanted to read a couple of news stories from juvenewslive.com, but if you can just visit that webpage for me and for Rav, we would really appreciate that. We're trying to get him back on the the top of all Juve websites, and I feel like it's a fantastic website. Rob Wood also will be with us for the season. Like I said, really looking forward to everything. Boys, thank you so much for joining us. Everyone in the comment section, there will be more YouTube lives and there will be more YouTube content coming up, watch-alongs and stuff like that. So new people on the podcast we're interviewing, really excited about it. I feel like we gave them a good episode, huh?
Three
Judging by
weeks is all that's left till the first
That's
match.
right.
It's crazy.
That's right.
And I'll be
Yeah.
at it. So we'll be bringing you content from first match of the season.
That's right. Kevin will be running at Turin Giants on Instagram. Please join us and follow us. Frederick will be at the Borussia game, right? He's nodding. This is a podcast. Yes.
I am. I'm sorry.
All right. We got Azeru gave us a nice nod. So nice show. Thanks, guys. No, thank you all for joining us. What do I do here? Check on your friends, stay hydrated, and Forza Juve.